podcast called Dub Jellison Podcast.
First ever type 1 diabetic in UFC history.
Doing fine, Dub. Nice to be with you.
Get out!
He's like, yeah. My tunnel vision and my periphery, I'm like off field.
Hey, you know how it is, though. Hey, when your team.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of Dub Jellison Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, Mr. Deangelo Yancey. Deangelo, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming on. You've been someone that I've been a fan of for a long time now, dating back to when I was like 12, 13 years old. So
Thank you.
It's cool to have you on. But I want to begin by talking about your training business, obviously, what you've been doing now. I've seen on Instagram and things like that. I mean, it looks like it's a really cool thing and that you really enjoy it. So for people who may not know, just kind of talk about what it is and what you're doing with that.
Burn Boot Camp is the brand. Recently, we just got our gym up and running. We're in it 4 months strong. Everything's going smooth. But for the people out there that don't know what Burn Boot Camp is, it's basically group fitness that is specialized to give you that one-on-one attention still while in that group setting. You walk in, first thing you're offered 45 minutes of an unlimited camp, a one-on-one focus meeting time. We kind of sit down with me or any other trainer, and we kind of personalize your goals just to kind of ramp up your experience. And what else? We offer complimentary child watch, and we're kind of community-based. So we're super big on community. You'll see us out in the community like a ton, doing numerous events with everybody, just trying to bring in the community inside the gym.
And that's down in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, West Atlanta. So if you're familiar with the area, down 20 West, and we're right in Hiram, Georgia.
Mm-hmm. And then you're the owner of this whole operation, right?
So it's actually a franchise. So we are technically the owners. Me and my wife are co-owners at the Hiram location, and we do have a second location coming in Douglasville pretty soon here within like the next year or so.
That's cool. What's the process like of getting into that and kind of getting things up and running?
Well, the way it started, while I was still playing football, my wife was actually training at another location here in Atlanta. And it's pretty simple. You get into it and you kind of see okay, the first thing you kind of look for, does this brand kind of align with like who I am as a person and what I want my future to be. And she clicked with Burn immediately. And so she kind of Burn to me. And so what I did was, once we figured out, okay, football is not going to be an option anymore with my knee injury, it was like, okay, what's next? So I ended up joining a team in Decatur. It's called Burn Decatur. And we did that for a year. I ended up falling in love with the brand. And she was like, why are we not doing this for ourselves? So I was like, that makes so much sense. So we kind of talked to the people we need to talk to. It was like, hey, we really want to bring this to Georgia. Like, we really enjoyed like the direction this brand is going in. And you kind of start from there, and then the process goes along, which Burn makes it super easy. Like, so it kind of like lays it out step by step for the ways you get started. And so there's literally no thinking involved. You just got to know that this is going to be something that is going to take a little time. So you really got to be passionate about it and really give it everything you got.
And that was going to be my next question. Is training something that really calls to you?
Yeah, and it's crazy because I didn't really get into training, like the training aspect, until like my last 2 years at Purdue. Just coming from Atlanta, we wasn't really big on the high school I went to. We weren't big on fitness and lifting. It was kind of like, hey, go out there and do what you got to do. Do what God taught you. But when I got to Purdue and kind of learned like the background on training and how fitness is not just about, how strong I can be or how much weight can be lifted. It's more so bringing out the inner confidence in you. If I can do this hard thing in the gym, I can translate this to my life or anything you got going on. So that's what kind of drew me into it. So honed in my last 2 years at Purdue, kind of started working out pretty serious. And it was just an easy transition from football into the fitness world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a good point, though, because like at my high school, I went to Noblesville High School in Indiana, and we had the biggest weights program in the country for high schools. And our coach always told us that we had it like during school. So it was like one of our classes, and he was always like, this is the best classroom that you could ever ask for. Cause like,
Yes.
you're going to get hit with adversity in literally everything you do. And it's how you bounce back.
And I tell you, like, fitness is a great teacher. Like when you start accomplishing those things that you never thought you would be able to accomplish, it's like wow, like I can literally do anything I put my mind to. And it's so easy to translate anything in fitness to like your personal life.
Mm-hmm. And I also think there's something to be said for like doing those hard workouts and kind of relieving that stress and kind of having that. And then everything else seems kind of easy just because you went through hell.
Exactly.
And then you get out and you're like, all right, I'm relaxed, and it kind of takes the stress off of things as well.
Absolutely. It really gets you going. You take those 45 minutes, like that is literally your me time. No text messages, no social media, no phone calls. You're literally in your zone for 45 minutes, getting everything that you want to get out of that particular workout. And like you said, it definitely gives you those endorphins throughout the rest of the day. Like I'm feeling good. I'm walking with my chest out. And it's like, because I just literally gave my all in this workout and I feel great about it.
I don't know. You do see some guys, especially athletes like football players, basketball players, what have you, that they're on their phone while they're training too. Like they're always like, "Hey, look at me, I'm out here."
They're like, if I didn't record it, it never happened.
What are some of the aspects that you enjoy most about what you guys are doing now?
Literally changing lives. Like you don't really realize that this is something I'm doing because I love it, but the impact that it's having on other people, just from being around, it's like, wow, we're really making a difference in how people view fitness and how people view what they can get out of fitness for themselves. So it's like, once you realize that, it's like, wow, like I'm really, I'm out here doing something. I'm not just here on earth living, I'm making a change. So that's the best part about it.
That's special. And is there like do you guys have like beginner classes, or is it all like the same?
Oh no, it's we cater to all fitness levels. So usually we'll have your regular exercise, and we can mod you up or we can mod you down. Like we make sure everybody doing everything to their comfort level. So that's why we welcome in anywhere from literally 14 all the way up to 65 or however old you want to be to come in, and we can make it happen for you within those 45 minutes. That's why I kind of love the fact that we're individualized. We try to give out that individualized attention within that group setting. That's what kind of separates us, because it's not like I'm there screaming at 30 to 40 people and not putting my personal touch on it. Like you will feel me, every single person will feel me every time within those 45 minutes. So that's the biggest part for me.
Yeah, you look at some of these like training facilities and they have like hundreds of people coming in, and it just feels like you don't have that connection with your trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, that's super special what you guys are doing with the one-on-one attention.
Exactly. So the thing is, going back to focus meetings where we sit down and kind of talk goals, like a lot of these gyms, they go through it and they tell you they want the best for you. They tell you they want you to see results, but they never sit. Exactly. They never sit down with you and talk about anything. So how do you want the best for me? Like you don't even know what I'm eating at night. Like you don't know. Literally 45 minutes out of 24 hours is nothing. Like the big steps happen outside the gym. And so those 15 minutes we get to sit down and talk to our clients, like literally that is where we make the most strides. Like I tell them every time, you can't out train your diet. So when we sit down and talk about nutrition, it's like you can come here for 45 minutes and go as hard as you want, but then you get outside of here and you're eating literally everything that's not supposed to go in your body. It's like I just worked hard for 45 minutes for no reason. I'm gonna go out here and do whatever that's not beneficial.
I don't know. Sometimes I look at it like, hey, I went and worked out. It was a hard workout. Now I get to reward myself. You know what I'm saying? But
no, I definitely understand that. We try to preach the 80-20 rule. Like if you can give me 5 solid days during the week where you kind of cater to yourself, cater to your fitness, making sure your body is feeling good, and then on that weekend, go enjoy yourself. Like you got to make this fun for you. Like everybody's not the same. Like do what you got to do to get the most out of it. I try to emphasize fitness should never feel like a job or another task that has to be done. You got to find something that's going to literally seamlessly fit into your lifestyle, so you don't have to make drastic changes, and you literally you will not fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, was there anyone that you kind of looked at that is a trainer, or any of these like fitness gurus that you kind of took that you like took stuff away from and were kind of an inspiration to you, I guess?
Not really, because the way it happened, if anybody, it would have my wife. Like the impact she had on her community so early, and it was like she is really killing this. Like she is like literally one of the best trainers out in Burn Nation. Like I literally had nobody else who I want to be trained under, because she's like the best of the best at what we're doing at Burn. It was like, okay, it's like the perfect situation. And so while we were sitting at home during the COVID times trying to figure out what was next, she was like, you should definitely be a trainer. And I was like, I'm definitely not as outspoken as her, but I was like, you know what? Might as well give it a try. Like, what's the harm? If I'm not good at it, I'm not good at it. And then ended up diving into it, ended up liking it. And on top of that, ended up being decent enough for people actually wanted me to come back and train. She's like, okay, this is something I can do.
And you've mentioned a couple times kind of that transition from football. That's something that I wanted to touch on. I mean, how hard was it to kind of find that passion after your football life?
It's hard. It's super hard, because you go literally your whole life trying to achieve these goals, but what people don't tell you is like there's a time and a place where it's going to end. Like no matter how good you are, no matter what, like there's going to come a time and place you got to say goodbye to football, and it's like you don't really realize that until that moment hits. Mm-hmm. So it's like, wow, like okay, I'm done with football. Like what's next? And I think my transition was a lot smoother than a lot of other athletes, because I wasn't necessarily kicked out. An injury, literally, I couldn't play anymore. So it was like the decision was kind of made for me, where I had to, okay, boom, I can't play anymore at 100%. What's next? As opposed to if I was 100% healthy, it would have been so hard to kind of walk away from football how I did, knowing I would have, hey, I know I got more in the tank. Like, let me get this a shot one more time. As opposed to, all right, my knee is literally telling me we're not doing this anymore. We got to find something else. And so I think I got lucky in that aspect. Now looking back on it, that's definitely the reason why my transition was so smooth.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's weird you say you kind of got lucky with your injury. A lot of people would be like demoralized over that. I feel like a lot of guys who unfortunately their careers get cut short due to injury or what have you. Mm-hmm. They kind of sulk on that, and then that just impacts their transition period, I guess.
And that's the thing, you can't, because life goes on. Mm-hmm. It's like, as soon as I realized that, okay, football is not going to be an option anymore, it's like, okay, well, like, what's next? Because at the end of the day, life is going to keep moving. I got to figure out where else do I fit in this world of everything else that's going on. And luckily, fitness was kind of already with that football background, and then I can transition into it here, like, which kind of was literally perfect and something I'm literally grateful for.
Was there anybody that you kind of, I mean, whether it be former teammates or coaches or what have you, that you were able to learn from in setting yourself up for success after your playing career?
Absolutely. My receivers coach, my last 2 years at Purdue, Jared Parker, he's the offensive coordinator at West Virginia right now. Mm-hmm. And it's like making that transition going into my junior year with him becoming my coach. He made sure, it was all football, but he made sure he was going to bring out the man in you to kind of set you up for life after football as well. So literally, he is like my person. We still talk to this day. I have a trip planned to go to West Virginia in a couple of months to go out there and see him. But it was one thing he told me that literally has stuck with me to this day. He was like, dude, you got to open your heart and let new things in, new people in, new activities in, because I was very closed off. Being from the city, going to Purdue, it was a big change for me. So I was kind of stayed to myself, stayed in my dorm, went to practice, came home. But those last 2 years, when he said that to me, I was like, yeah, you're right. I gotta start being more open, start saying yes a lot. And that literally changed the way I view everything else I was doing my time there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's great. But that's something that literally everybody can take with them, especially.
Absolutely.
I mean, shout out to him too. He's doing great things.
Oh yes,
It's
he's
succeeding.
hands down my favorite coach that I've ever been coached by. Like he definitely left his mark on me, and I know a whole bunch of other guys.
Mm-hmm. I wish he would have stuck around at Purdue, but I mean, you get opportunities elsewhere, you got to take them.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
The way it worked out for Purdue for him, I'm glad because in that time, what we weren't as good as we wanted to be. It was nice to see him kind of learn and adapt. And Coach Parker's always been a player's coach. So my last year when we had to switch out from Hazel, he popped in and he was interim head coach. And I think that definitely set him up for how he wanted to run his career with coaching going further. Like literally head coaching is definitely in his future. He's climbing that ladder like on and on and on. So I'm excited to see what else Coach Parker has to offer.
Kind of going back to that transition to life after football, is that something that the guys think about when they're actually playing, or is it one of those like, oh shit moments where your career stops and then you're trying to scramble to find that new passion?
The thing is, some do, some don't. And the thing is, I was actually one of the ones that didn't, because like the type of person I was back then, I was more so thinking, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I need to be 110% all in. Mm-hmm. It's like I don't need any other outside distractions. So literally, football was it. That's my plan A. That's my plan B. Literally having that confidence in myself to kind of be like, okay, this is it. Like you're good enough. You just got to go make it happen. Just got to do the work. So looking back on it, I definitely could have divvied up my time more to make sure life after football was literally already set up for me. But thank God things kind of worked out for me in ways that it don't do for other guys. So I'm definitely grateful for that. But in hindsight, definitely have your plan B to set yourself up after any sport, especially football, that's so physically demanding, and literally your career could end in 3 seconds and you're literally done. You're stuck thinking, what now? That's the worst feeling to have, to be like, okay, what's next?
Mm-hmm. You look at someone like Inky Johnson, who's blown up with his motivational speaking and
yes,
review, but he was going to be like first, second round pick. It gets hit the wrong way and that's all done. But I think you guys, especially players of your caliber, you guys are at an advantage just because you can get into training like you can get into coaching. You can be around the game and contribute to it. Without playing, obviously.
Yes, I think that is true, because there's so many aspects of the game that you can kind of take away with you. I still find myself implementing things I learned in football in the gym, like to this day, like just introducing all my clients to these new movements and everything like that. It's fun to see them kind of master the things that I was doing throughout my playing career. And it's like, this translates. Like, this is perfect. Like the ideal situation.
I forgot to ask this earlier, but I think you were gone before they did that whole renovation to the facility, right?
Yes, I missed out on it by 1 year. I stayed the last 2 years of watching it get built out, and it was like, wow, like I'm missing out on this great facility.
Have you ever had a chance to go back in there and look at it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like walking in there, all glass, the locker room, like the space in general. Like the locker room that we had, that was in the Breeze Center, was literally not even close to what they have right now. So definitely mad about that. I missed out on that.
Yeah, they put a hell of a lot of money in that thing.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Beautiful too. I got a chance to walk in there. It's absolutely insane.
It takes your breath away as soon as you step in.
Do you ever see yourself getting back into the game with, training specifically football players in terms of individuals or what have you, or coaching or anything like that?
I think about it. I see a lot of other guys doing it who I follow on social media and things like that. But the thing is, I literally came to this realization a couple of weeks ago. It's like I'm genuinely happy doing what I'm doing right now. More of this is kind of what I'm doing right now. as being like a business owner, finding new endeavors, kind of branch off on. I don't know. I love the freedom that I have to basically be my own brand, and like I like this feeling of kind of doing it that way. I can literally branch off and kind of do whatever I want right now. And I definitely didn't want to tie myself back to football too much because I know just being around it, it's gonna make me miss it a lot. We just went to a Falcons game Sunday, and it was like just being on the opposite side, viewing the fan experience. It's like, wow, I was getting chills just sitting in my seat. So it's like, okay, this is what it's like.
I mean, what has that itch been like in the recent months, and I guess a little over a year now since you made that decision?
It's been not as honestly not as bad because I've been so busy. I've been literally so busy, like work, home, burn, and then me and my wife got a couple of other businesses that we plan on jumping into. Literally, we've been so focused on setting ourselves up for the long run. I haven't even had time to kind of sit back and think about how much I missed the game, or am I completely done? Which in my mind right now, like I would say I'm 100% completely done with football. I've had a couple teams call and still reach out just to make sure, like, are you sure you're done? I'm like, dude, this is I'm happy where I'm at right now. And my knee is definitely not 100%. It's way better than it was, but it's not to a point where I feel like I would be able to go out and give everything I got and be happy with the performance.
Now, is there a part of things where you have to like be real about yourself? And obviously it was much easier with you just because of your injury, but for other guys, do you have to be real with yourself and, I mean, objectively look at where you're at as a football player and where the possible opportunities will be?
You have to. You like that's where a lot of guys make the biggest mistake, not being real with themselves. It's like we talk about it all the time. You got guys, okay, high school is gonna be my last stop. Like I know I had my fun in high school playing football. I'm not gonna make it to the collegiate level to do what I gotta do. Boom. Same thing with college. Okay, I was a great college player, but things are just not gonna work out for me. But you see guys that cling on to it, and then before you know it, life has literally passed you by. And that is what you don't want. Wasted time. Like time is literally everything. So the quicker you can figure out whether something is for you or not, make that change immediately and go ahead and dive into whatever else you want to get into, because holding on to a lost dream is like literally you're dying slowly.
Yeah.
So
that's hard to do though. Like, I mean, not even for athletics, just in general, like relationships and and the way things used to be. I mean, people always have a hard time of letting the past go and kind of moving forward.
No, it's definitely hard. I think what helped me a lot, my support system, my family, my wife again, and just the people I've met along the way. Just staying in contact with those people, they constantly remind me, like, okay, boom, you're more than football. Like literally, football is just a stepping stone to get you exactly where you need to go. Like, and forever grateful for all those opinions flowing through. It kind of give me that reassurance that, okay, I am doing the right thing. Like literally football is not everything I have to offer.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go back to your actual career, obviously. I mean, how do you reflect over the whole journey that you were able to go through?
It was amazing. It's like you grow up wanting to accomplish these goals and knowing how rare it is to get where you want to go, and then when you finally make it, it's like you have that wow moment, like I'm literally here. Like at the time when I got drafted to Green Bay, literally my locker was in between Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and Devontae Adams was literally 2 seats down. It was like, okay, I'm here. Like I have kind of made it to exactly where I wanted to be, and it was like a surreal moment, but you got to get out of it quick. You got to be like, okay, boom, this is the job. All right, the giggles are all over. Let's go ahead and get to work. I'm here to do a job. Let's make it happen. I think that's the biggest thing football players kind of run into when you get into it. It's like you lose sight that this is a business, and up top, they're going to run it exactly like so. So you got to take your feelings away and literally go in as, okay, let me do my job to the best of my ability.
What was it like to be in that wide receiver room, like with Cobb, Jordy Nelson, and possibly the best wide receiver in the league now, Devontae Adams?
It was, the thing is, you notice, so when I first got to Green Bay, just being in the room with those three guys, you notice the maturity level of how they went about their job, how they went about literally everything in their life. And it kind of starts to rub off on you, as opposed to when I did start to bounce around, I would get to other rooms and you was like, the vibe is definitely not the same. Like, these guys were not as seasoned as a Jordy, a Cobb, a Devontae, up and coming Devontae at the time. So it's like, I'm glad I started where I started. I got to see one of the, in my opinion, the best ran organizations in football and kind of see how it worked. And then I kind of went down and then seeing, okay, this is not how it was ran here. I see why they've had the level of success they've had, because they got literally a system in place that works.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about them, and then not to mention one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Aaron Rodgers, throwing you guys the ball. That makes things a hell of a lot easier.
I still got videos on my phone of Aaron making passes, just like, okay, this is the difference. It's like, like, the thing is, everybody that's in the NFL, like, you're an elite athlete. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't make it here by mistake. But the gap is so big from elite athlete to Aaron Rodgers. Like, he does things that it's like, you should not be able to do that. And it's like, okay, you deserve all the hype that you've ever gotten. Like, nah, Aaron is definitely my number one QB. Like, his talent is unmatched.
And I'm sure you've been kind of keeping tabs on that whole situation with Green Bay and him kind of not wanting to be there and things like that. What were you thinking about when you were seeing those things?
Honestly, I was just thinking, like, Aaron's a team guy. So when you get the comments coming out about Aaron saying this, saying that, I'm like, that's not the person I was with in the locker room. Like, literally, Aaron, he's about his business. He enjoys the work, he enjoys the job, and he has a good time. So I knew at the end of the day he was going to make the decision that was best for him, and was going to get what he felt like he deserved, and I respect him for it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's one of my favorites. I mean, I find myself rooting for the Packers just because I like him sometimes. But I mean, I didn't see him leaving. I mean, obviously he's going to after this upcoming year, but it's just
it'd be hard to see Aaron in another jersey. Almost like Tom went to Tampa, but seeing Aaron Rodgers in another jersey, it wouldn't even feel the same. Mm-hmm. Like, him out of Green Bay just don't make sense, at least for right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same because I'm a Colts fan. So when Peyton Manning left, I was demoralized. I was like 10 years old. That was weird seeing it. And then him come back that first year and play us in Lucas Oil. All that stuff.
I know that had to be tough seeing. Yeah. It's wild when you grow up and you get these long tenured guys that've been with teams 15 plus years, and you get to thinking like, okay, this is our guy. He's never leaving. Like, he's going to retire. A coach, he's going to retire. A Packer, and you start hearing the talks coming around. It's like, oh, there's no way he can leave. But like I said, it's a business, and at the end of the day, the front office is going to do what's in their best interest, and so the players have to do what's in their best interest when you have that leverage. So.
Yeah, I mean, Rodgers was talking about, he came back for camp, obviously, and he was doing, like, the media scrum or whatever, and he was ripping the front office to shreds, and then he was just praising the coaching staff and the players. So it kind of speaks to that team guy that you said. Mm-hmm.
Like, Aaron's he's going to always champion his teammates, champion his coaches, and everything. Like, Aaron's hands down, he's a great dude. Like, I don't know, sometimes I see the media kind of putting Aaron in a bad light or whatever, but I just don't see it at all.
I think it's just because of his person. He's like laid back and kind of has he seems like he has like an arrogant tone if you're not with him day to day. because like I found myself thinking like he could be a shithead if you met him or something, but like all of his teammates, including you, like have just had great things to say. But I've never heard a bad thing said about him from teammates.
Yeah, the thing is, it's so hard looking in from the outside in. Media is going to portray whatever they want to portray. Mm-hmm. So the only people that kind of know the real are the people that's actually been in that locker room with Aaron, been in that presence, had those conversations with him. And it's like once you actually sit down and talk to Aaron, all the other stuff kind of goes out the window. You realize what type of dude he is.
Mm-hmm. I know we're getting short on time, so I wanted to move to your career at Purdue. Obviously, I'm a proud boy yourself. So talk about the recruiting process and how you ended up choosing Purdue over the likes of like Kentucky, NC State, and Ole Miss.
Wow. So it's crazy how the story happened. I was committed to Kentucky for a long time. I was committed to Kentucky for at least 8 months. Like that was the school for me. Being from Atlanta, it was like SEC or no school. So I kind of chose Kentucky over Ole Miss. Those were the two SEC offers I had. And they had a coaching change. Joker Phillips ended up getting let go. And this was literally maybe 2 months before signing day. So now I'm scrambling. I'm reaching back out. I reached back out to NC, reached back out to Wake Forest, trying to call Ole Miss up. But it was like at the time, the deadline was so close. They were like, okay, we've already filled that scholarship. That scholarship is not hitting with such and such. So I was like, okay, let me see what I'm going to do. Last option ended up being Georgia State or Missouri. So I was like, okay, let me make this decision. And then that last week, a Purdue coach came down, not because he's recruiting anybody from our school. His auntie actually worked at my high school. He was coming to see his auntie. She's like, hey, we got a kid. He literally just decommitted from Kentucky and she's trying to look for a school to go to. And so we ended up talking. He sent my highlight tape to Coach Hazel at the time. It was going to be Coach Hazel's first year. Sent him up. He was like, yeah, we want him. Let's get him on a visit. I went up to Purdue, took a visit. And I was like, okay, I can do Big Ten. Like, if I'm not going to come to the SEC, okay, Big Ten, in my opinion, next best thing over from the SEC. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's sign it. I'm here. Perfect. And with Hazel being new, it would give me it's fresh eyes on everybody. Mm-hmm. So I feel like my chances were high to kind of get in there and play right away.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like you mentioned, what was it like to come in there and making it an immediate impact? He led the team in receiving as a freshman.
Let me tell you my honest opinion. I should have not played my freshman year at all. I was horrible. I was like, man, they got me out here playing. I was nervous, but it was fun just being a kid from Atlanta, getting that opportunity right away to go out and play on a national stage. So it was intimidating. And at that time, you're so raw. You like there's no thinking involved. You're just literally going out, you're playing. And so that's all I was doing. So really no nerves my freshman year. It was more so I'm just out here playing football. Like cameras didn't bother me, crowd didn't bother me. I'm literally out here having fun. And it turned into being a nice freshman season that kind of set me up for the rest of my career.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't like from a fan's perspective, you look fine to me. That's like, what was it like to come in there and kind of have that? I don't want to say culture shock. I mean, but it kind of is like to come into a big D1 Big Ten program and kind of get integrated with the guys.
It was different, super different because I come from Atlanta, inner city. It's like the whole vibe, the whole atmosphere was so different for me. So it did take me a while to adapt. Like my first year and a half, I was to myself, didn't talk to anybody, kind of didn't ask for help, didn't give help. It was more, I got me and only me, as opposed to once that couple of years kind of flew by. If you don't remember, I had a terrible sophomore year, like horrible. That's when everything kind of clicked for me. It was like, man, I go back and look at those numbers. I was like 12 catches, 146 yards, 3 touchdowns in 1 year. I said, wow. That's when I went back and started like reevaluating like myself. That was like, okay, my looking in the mirror moment. Because that freshman season, what it did was it took my confidence and my arrogance from here to here. So that sophomore year didn't work as hard as I should. Like I was going through the motions. Like this is going to happen regardless. Okay, like I'm going to replicate what I did my freshman year, but just better. And it don't work like that. The work literally has to be put in every single day. I remember my coach telling me, he was like, if there's something that you want to do for a living, every single day you have to do something to get better. And so my junior, my senior year, that's literally what we did. A lot of receivers, every morning, 5 a.m., we're catching at least 500 balls off the jugs. We're making sure every day I get something in that's dedicated to my craft. And so once I kind of got that mindset instilled in me, that's when the hard work started to flow. That's when my love for fitness started to build. Like your body started changing, you start feeling better, start looking better. The confidence is literally through the roof. And I think I build most of my confidence in the process. So I'm a person, I feel like, okay, as long as me internally know I work as hard as I can go out here and do anything, like literally to my best of my ability and not have to worry about the result.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was gonna mention that sophomore year and kind of your bounce back. I was gonna say it nicer than you did. I mean, was that did you just have a fire lit under you? I mean, going to those next 2 seasons, because I mean, you straight balled out.
Literally. So that IU game ended maybe I think late November of my sophomore year. I took a week off and literally I was on it. And at the time, if you remember Greg Phillips, another receiver, he was a year behind me, but I've never seen anybody's work ethic like Greg's. And that kind of rubbed off on me, just being his roommate, and then we took off from there every night. Like, I mean, one morning we can get the lights on in the facility. We're catching footballs in the dark, like trying to do anything we can, because I just knew that I couldn't have that season again, especially with like the goals I had kind of aligned for myself and the person I wanted to be. That just it wasn't possible to have a season like that again. So that ended up working out, kind of put my best foot forward. And then junior year, we kind of got a second chance, because what happened is when your star player has had a horrible year, you start to look elsewhere. So that year, going into my junior year, we had JUCO transfers come in. And basically what that means, you get guys who you feel like they can come in and play right away. And so when that happened, Coach Parker gave us a clean slate. He was like, I don't care what you did in the past. I don't care what you've done up to this point. Everybody's starting at ground zero. And I was like, thank God. Like, I remember that meeting like it was yesterday. I just knew I was going to be third on the depth chart, second on the depth chart, having to fight my way back up. But he kind of started us at a clean slate. He was like, okay, if you started such and such, you're going to start here, but this is not set in stone. And I was like, okay, let's go. Like, I can do that. I can compete. And so that's what ended up happening. And I ended up coming back and having that great junior season. But the level of intensity and hunger in our receiver room played a big part in me having the season I had those last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously you led that group. I mean, up until when we got Rondell and David on campus, I mean, you were our best receiver for a long stretch there, in my opinion.
Thank you. No, it was fun because I got a great chance to grow with the guys in my room. So even my senior year, like we were led by all seniors. It was me, Damo Young, Blau Marshall, Cameron Posey, and at the time we still had Dan Monroso before he ended up transferring and going the basketball route. But that's all seniors, so we were super tight. So it was like everything we did, we kind of ran together, and literally every level kind of took each other to that next level. So it was like, okay, you did this, I'm gonna do that. Oh, you stayed an hour to get the extra work in, I'm gonna stay 90 minutes. So like that really helped me push, and I give them a lot of credit to the success I definitely had in those years, because there was never a day off. There was never a time you kind of sit back and think about how good you are, because somebody else is out there working, trying to get your job. So that healthy competition definitely did me good.
And I don't remember if it was Appleby or Etling that sophomore year. I think it was Appleby. But, I mean, what was it like those last 2 years having David Blau and kind of seeing him progress to the player he was, and then getting balls to you. Obviously, you were a favorite of his.
Man, David, we knew from day one that David was going to be good. So when he first came in, like, the competitiveness of David literally oozes out of his pores when you're doing anything football related, cars related, pool related, ping pong related. Like, you can feel his intensity. So we knew that he was going to be good, but at the time he just wasn't ready yet. So going into my junior year, he was kind of becoming his own. And David always, like, he throws the prettiest catchable. Like, you hear a lot of receivers say, like, he just throws catchable balls. So it's easy to kind of fall in love with David's style of play that even our senior year, me and David was roommates. Yeah, we roomed together. And speaking of David, he married me was that a year and a half ago. He came down, he married us in Atlanta. So that was cool.
Oh, he's ordained.
Oh, yes, he got ordained. And yes, he made that happen for us. So that was nice of him to do that. But yeah, that was perfect.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any moments that stood out as most memorable to you at Purdue?
The most memorable? It's a couple. Let's go. The first one. Let's go team. When we beat Nebraska on Halloween, like that was a big moment for us. Night game, playing a powerhouse like Nebraska and coming out on the other side of that. That was one of the highlights of my career. Second, I had some goals coming in from high school, and one was to kind of make ESPN top 10. And I ended up doing that in Lucas Oil. So that was like a dream come true. Like, I still got that picture framed in my house right now. And then last, it was just more so of the team building, period. Like, the camaraderie you build from just being a part of a team, like, it never goes away. Like, the relationships you build, like the conversations you have in the locker room. I promise you, like, the best part of football is literally what happens off the field when you're gearing up to get to the games. That's where all the relationships are built. That's where the trust is earned, the accountability is made. And so that is definitely, I miss that about the game. I definitely miss that.
What do you think that those teams weren't able to do to have that success that they were capable of when you were at Purdue?
I didn't hear you say it one more time.
What do you think those teams weren't able to do to have that level of success that kind of fans expect and you guys expect themselves?
I don't know. I've been trying to put my finger on it because it's like, when you look at our roster, especially by junior year, we had talent up and down the board. We had Raheem, we had Akeem, we had a nice up-and-coming receiving core. We had two lockdown corners, Frankie Williams, who's playing in the CFL right now. We had Anthony Brown, who's playing for the Cowboys. Jawan playing Mike linebacker for the Patriots. Like, it's like the talent was there, but we couldn't finish. Like, we lost so many games by less than 7 points. It was like unreal. And that's literally the turning point from being a good team and a horrible team, those games that are decided within like 7 points. And so we just could not get over that hump. And that year was definitely a year. It should have been way different.
Mm-hmm. And I know, you might not want to answer this, but a lot of Purdue fans, they've been brutal to Darrell Hazel ever since that first year. How much of the blame is warranted for him and the rest of the coaching staff, for that matter?
Honestly, it has to be equally distributed from top to bottom, including the players. There were a lot of things we could have did better, a lot of things they could have did better, in my opinion. But I don't know. I feel like everything kind of works out for a reason. Like, going through that, it made me kind of get that keep moving, no matter what process. Like, when in doubt, work. Like, when shit hits the fan, do what you got to do. Make sure you're taking care of your responsibilities, no matter the circumstance. And that's kind of where I've got we're gonna fight this adversity no matter what. Because literally, I went through it for 4 years. It's hard now that I think about it. It's so hard to be losing and to come back the next day with the same positive attitude, like, all right, this week is going to get fixed. And I think we did a great job of that at Purdue. So we didn't have anybody more so checked out. And if we did, I will say this, our coaches, they did a great job of getting the bad apples with the pessimistic mindset out of the locker room and kept the healthy relationships intact.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how frustrating was that for you, especially with the players, just knowing like you guys are so close into all these games and then you just can't get to the next level.
It was hard, man. It was hard. You got a lot of going back and forth, a lot of finger pointing, and at the time I seen you just being a captain, and you're just seeing it from that view, and you're trying to still bring everybody together. Like, I understood how hard it was to kind of keep the confidence and keep the positivity with everything along those lines going on. But it's something that makes a man out of you, and it lets you know that life isn't always going to be what you expected, but you got to keep going forward. Like I said earlier, like, nothing's going to stop just for you. Like, no matter what happens, you still got to wake up the next morning and get done what you got to get done. So there's literally no slowing down.
No doubt. Couldn't have said it better myself. And then last question for you. What do you think of the direction that the Purdue program is heading in right now? We had a couple of years where we made it to a couple bowl games and then declined the last few.
I honestly, I like it. Like, I like the direction. I like what Coach Brown has done for the entire program. Like, now with him being able to bring in Rundell, and for Rundell to have the success that he had at Purdue, is like, it opened eyes of other guys in the Indiana area. Like, wholeheartedly, I believe that's why we end up landing David Bell, because he's seen what can happen in a Jeff Brom system while playing at Purdue. So I think he did a great job of changing the culture at Purdue now. Now when people think of Purdue, they're thinking about what can Jeff Brom kind of bring to the table offensively wise and get them boys going on defense. So I think he definitely changed the way people view us in that light. And I definitely like that. Like, the future is bright for Purdue.
Well, I mean, we got a game on Saturday against Oregon State, who are atrocious, so we should beat them. I mean, we're favored by like 8.5, so we'll see how that plays out.
I haven't even been keeping up that much. Who's slated to start? Quarterback?
Jack Plummer.
Okay. I got him. So I saw him play a couple times.
I like him. That's
Okay.
what I would have picked as a starter, obviously, and get to see in camp and all that stuff.
No, that's gonna be a good one. I'm excited for the season. It's gonna be a good one.
Hey, man. I know we went over time, so I apologize for that. But thank you.
No, it's all good.
Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, so really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And best of luck with the Burn Boot Camp, and
thank you.
And stay safe with your family as well.
You too, man. I appreciate you for having me. Thank you. It is an honor. Definitely. Keep growing, keep prospering, and enjoy the rest of your time at Purdue, man.
Hey, plug your stuff. Where can the people find your guys' stuff?
Yes. So Instagram, Burn Boot Camp Hiram. Definitely go on our page. Check us out. Follow our Instagram page. We're also on Facebook. You can check us out. Same name, Burn Boot Camp at Hiram. And just come in and see what we're about. We do have there's a lot of Burn Boot Camps up in the Indiana area, Fishers, Carmel. I think there's one more. I can't put a finger on it, but we are around, and we are a fast-growing franchise. So go ahead and hop on us right now.
I'll put that in the description. But like I said, thank you. Thank you for coming on, man. It was an honor.
No, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right.